the social anxiety shadow. In this video I want to speak about the social anxiety shadow. I'm sure you know what social anxiety is. Social anxiety is when you're frightened of people. You've got a people phobia. And social anxiety also brings on things like depression, suicidal thoughts, negative thoughts, paranoia, low self-esteem, self-hate, projected hate, can't trust yourself, can't trust other people. Now the shadow is, in psychology, the shadow is a pain body. The shadow is a separate part of us that is the negative part of us. The negative part of us that we've unconsciously designed to protect ourselves from ourselves and to protect ourselves from any perceived threat. So protect ourselves from social judgment, rejection, abandonment. It's pretty much the same thing. It's to protect you from harm, even death, all these areas: fear, death, abandonment, rejection, being outcasted, same thing. So for years I was being bullied by my social anxiety shadow until I fully overcome it. So I just want to go through in this video, just remind you, because I see this with a lot of people that I coach, and I'm assuming from looking at the YouTube comments, just getting a feel and being intuitive, been teaching for 5 years, this is where a lot of you are struggling at the moment. Years ago, this is what my social anxiety would do to me. It would talk to me in my head and it would give me terrifying feelings. So I'd wake up in the morning, I could be in a mediocre mood, and I'd look around at my room. My room would be a heap, it would be a mess. There'll be packets of crisps, there'll be chocolates, there'll be plates and, you know, last night's food. There might be KFC, there'll be DVDs out, and it depressed me. But then my social anxiety shadow would say, leave it, come on, just leave it, don't worry about it. Do it another day, we haven't got time for that, it's going to be too stressful. And the social anxiety shadow is really avoidance. It's the same thing. So avoidance, same thing. I'm just using a spiritual term, shadow. Avoidance is the psychological term. So I'd kind of had this battle, and it would feel like I was battling another person, and I didn't understand it back then. This is 10 years ago or 7 years ago, because I didn't understand my mind. I didn't understand that I'd rationalised different personalities. I had no idea. All I knew was there was an internal fight, there was a mental fight, and there was an indecisiveness, and it made me stressed, it made me anxious, and usually the shadow would win. Of course it would win back then. So I'd leave my room messy, then I'd go, I feel a bit lonely, I want to go out and see my friends, or I just want to go out the house. And then the shadow would get strong and say, there's no point going to see your friends, it's going to be boring, what are you going to talk about? You're just going to talk about the same stuff all the time, sports, boxing, how bad life is, how none of you can get women. And I'd be like, you beat me again. Then I'd say, all right, let me at least go out to the shop and get some food and just freshen up, let me take a shower. Sometimes the shadow was so powerful, it would go, come on, don't take a shower, what's the point, just stay at home. And it would beat me a lot of the times. And I've seen this pattern, I've seen it myself, experienced it, and I've helped lots of men on my 6 weeks program who are going through this battle of the social anxiety shadow. So that's just one version of it, and it doesn't stop there. This is just one version, but it starts in the house and it starts with talking to you. Then I find I get relieved. So on one hand, it's making you do things that you don't want to do against your own will. But on another hand, it's giving you a lot of relief, because it's not allowing you to face your fear, to face the fear that you've actually created from your own mind. And the reason why you've created a shadow is because probably you've got a fear of abandonment. Most definitely, if you've got social anxiety, so someone in the past has let you down, someone has abused you in whatever various ways. It could be sexual abuse, could be physical abuse, it could just be verbal abuse. There could be a number of things in your past that have happened to you. We all carry abuse from the past, some more than others. So this is the pattern of the shadow. Now, moving on to other areas all these areas of self-esteem. Let's say, for example, you're in a good mood. So on this particular day, you're not in the shadow, you're in the true self. You probably don't even know that you're in the true self, because this is what I'm really explaining in this video is most people that have got social phobia and can't seem to overcome it are in a stage where they don't know who they are, or they're at least too afraid to be who they are. They're terrified, so they're just getting trapped in these separate personalities that they are creating unknowingly. And in your mind, because I understand when I was going through it, it felt like it was external. I felt like I was being persecuted by everyone. I thought my family didn't like me, I thought my friends didn't like me, I thought everything. I was really paranoid. Sometimes I'd feel everyone liked me and I'd keep switching back. I was switching from personalities and being dominated by this aggressive, mean social anxiety shadow. Also, it would talk to me, it would threaten me. So let's say, for example, sometimes I would push myself to get out. I'd go to a friend's, there'd be a party, I might meet a girl there, she's taken an interest to me, we exchange numbers, I feel great, I feel fantastic, excited to see her, confident, good chemistry. The next day I wake up, it hits me, says to me, there's no point meeting the girl, she's not going to like you, she's not going to sleep with you, she's not going to find you attractive, probably felt sorry for you. That's how vicious it was. Then I'm feeling abandoned, I'm feeling stressed, I'm feeling lonely. And of course, the shadow brings on panic attacks. I suffered with them really bad. I didn't understand it when I was in my early 20s, waking up. I remember I had to sit on the edge of my bed, put my body down, breathe, feel like I'm going to die, if it's going to kill me. And to some extent, it does threaten you with death. It does do that. It's a dark part of ourself. Actually, interestingly enough, in the Bible, they would call this demons. So it's the same thing. In psychology, they would call it a subpersonality, or they would call it denial or a rationalized personality. In spirituality, they'd call it a shadow, which when you think of a shadow, it's like a black shadow. In the Bible, in the biblical representation, it would be a demon. And they're all true. It just, however you want to interpret it in whichever language. I just wanted to share that. I find it fascinating. So for years I was battling with this shadow. Now moving on to things like I'm going to go deeper. And this is where the shadow brings on shame, because it's interestingly, I just thought of this now, in the past when we've been hurt, it brings on all of the attributes or consequences that the shadow does to us when we feed it. So when I was younger, and I've already got into this many times, I had quite a strict upbringing with my dad, and I just seemed to have it tough. I had lots of fights, I got bullied a lot. After I'd get bullied by my dad or someone at school, even if I bullied someone and I got into a fight, someone tried to start me and I beat them, I'd feel good at first and then I'd feel awful after. Whether I beat someone in a fight, whether they beat me up, if I had an argument with someone, altercation, I'd be left feeling ashamed, I'd feel dirty, I'd feel rejected, I'd feel unloved, I'd feel angry, I'd feel hate towards people, hate towards myself. When you feed the shadow, that's how you feel. So when you don't tidy your room, when you know you should tidy your room because it's part of self-respect and respecting yourself, you feel awful. You feel good for a while, builds you up. When you don't go to a social gathering, when you know you should because it's going to improve your self-esteem and you're going to socialise, you feel awful. When you believe the voice and you don't go and meet a girl that is interested in you, or you meet her and it's taken over your mind, as Eckhart Tolle says, the shadow can literally take you over, possess you, take you over, and you're angry, you're paranoid, you can't even function, you can't be yourself. So it's a bullying shadow that we create ourselves, and we unknowingly, we either forget we created it or we think that we didn't create it. We think that it's people are making me anxious, people are trying to bully me. So another area is addictions. I mean, this is all addictions. So I remember getting days, I suppose you could call them dark nights of the soul, where I felt manically depressed. I'd get days where I think I'm contemplating suicide, but I didn't have the courage to do that, thank God. Get so depressed, deep loneliness, and then the shadow would say pornography. It would catch me with pornography. Sometimes it would say, and it would whisper in my ear, come on, let's get a prostitute. And I'd say, what? I'd be like, what? I'm having a conversation with myself. That's disgusting, I can't do that. That's not right. It's not right to pay for sex. And then it's going, come on, it'd be exciting. Come on, it'd be exciting. It's talking to you, it's getting you aroused. And you're fighting, you're going, yes, no, and then it beats you. And you go into the machine, and it had me withdrawing out 70, 80 pounds. I'm nervous, I'm thinking, I can't believe what I'm doing. I go there, go pay for sex, have sex, feel good for a bit, come down and feel awful. shadows giving you a beating. And of course, can't go and socialise with people, ashamed, because I've just paid for sex, watched pornography, I've been messy, I've not tidied my room, I've got no self-respect, because this is how I'm treating myself, self-sabotaging, massive social anxiety, paranoia, can't go out of the house and socialise. To go even further, I'm talking about the same shadow, but it could be separated into different personalities. It could be the same, I don't know, a violent bullying shadow. So I go out, I go into an environment, I'm in a good mood, I'm calm, but I feel nervous because I'm around other people that have got shadows and are not aware that they've got shadows, haven't looked at their shadows, and their shadows are aggressive and violent, and I pick up on it because of course I'm sensitive, we all are, I'm not silly. So I sense that there's bad energy in the room and it makes me scared, it makes me afraid, it puts me on guard. So now my shadows come up, protection, someone ends up insulting me or saying something that I don't like, I get into a fight, I clump them, I knock them out, I really hurt them, or we get into a bad fight, mayhem, chaos. Next day I come home, I'm full of anxiety, fear, I don't leave my house, I'm worried that the people might come back, I'm worried that I might have hurt someone, might go to prison. Shadow is destroying my life, it's ruining my life. Messy bedroom, messy self, violence, pornography, paying for prostitutes, prostituting myself, destroying my life. And then you sit down wondering why you don't have the confidence to go out and get a job. You don't want to go and face people, you don't trust your family, your friends, because when you feed into the shadow, you lose all sense of self-trust. So how did I beat this monster? How did I beat this? Well, I suppose it started with me unconsciously. I couldn't take it no more. I was so depressed at the fact that I couldn't socialise with people. I started to practice speaking to women, and that put me on the path. It didn't clear up everything, as you know, it didn't solve everything. To some extent, it fed into the shadow a bit more, because the shadow is very insecure, it wants outside validation. But in the midst of meeting women, I had some good relationships that weren't shadow-based. But as I progressed further, I realised most of my relationships that I was going out and I was having sex with women, to meet women on the street, was based on my shadow. So I'm going to contradict myself now and say that the shadow can be the making or the breaking of you. Of course, I'm sure you're smart enough to realise I'm not advocating going out and getting prostitutes. I'm saying the opposite. Don't go to prostitutes. I'm certainly not advocating violence. And there's not a single part of me anymore that's violent. I've been a violent person for years. No violence. I'm making you aware of your social anxiety shadow and how to overcome it. So, to beat this monster, you have to use common sense. What's common sense? Common sense is not always common practice. Because everyone watches videos, everyone reads books, everyone says they know, but most people don't practice. That's why most people that I meet, this is no judgment, just an observation, are not congruent. So many guys I meet and speak to are all over the place, and I recognise this because I was like that myself, especially a few years ago when I was insecure going out picking up women. I was all over the place, one person from the next, just confused, didn't know who I was. In the shadow, out the shadow, in the shadow, out the shadow, in one personality, out another. That's why there was such, sometimes having joy, sometimes depressed, sometimes angry, sometimes happy, sometimes trusting, sometimes distrusting. Not a good way to live, not aligned, not in alignment with who I was. So I'm just going to be really honest, I can't speak for everyone. Got to a stage where I can't take it no more, because the shadow bullies you with fear. It threatens you with abandonment, it threatens you with social judgment, and of course it's all fear. So the shadow threatens you with a biological feeling of fight or flight, and it also threatens you with an inner conversation. And I used to always get the same old rubbish: you're not good enough, people wouldn't like you, you've not achieved enough, you've come from a deprived area, you've been a violent person, you're less of a person, you're the lowest of the low. I had all these conversations until I couldn't take it no more, and I started to actually practice the opposite. So what's the opposite? Tidying your bedroom. When I woke up this morning, because I'm so grateful to be socially free. Yes, socially free of anxiety and happy. I woke up as a ritual, first thing I did, hand wash some clothes. Didn't put them in the washing machine, personally hand washed them. I enjoy, opposite of avoidance, tidied my room, cleaned the sink, washed the sink out, went and had a shower, brushed my teeth, put clean clothes on, tidied my books, tidied my bed, like a fanatic now. You see, I'm the extreme opposite, because I won't allow, of course I've still got the shadow in me, we all have. It's still there, I watch it. I won't allow it to beat me. I'll use it as an actual, I think you could call it a tempering tool or a helper. So it doesn't control me, I control it. And I think what I'm talking about is control of the false ego. So the shadow, the subpersonalities, the demons, is the false ego. Most people are controlled by their false ego, hence controlled by their shadow. This is why they do so many things that are wrong in their life. They cheat in relationships. I had a cheating shadow. I've said it already, I cheated in all my relationships. That was a few years ago until I changed. So the good thing is now, I'm not a cheat. I'm not a messy person. I'm not a disrespectful person. I'm not a violent person. I'm congruent. Certainly not perfect, of course, but congruent, honest and happy and free of social anxiety. Of course, I still experience fear. I'm not some kind of secret monk, but I want to share this and help you. It's massively going to help you. Everyone I work with and I speak to on my 6 weeks program is being dominated by their shadow, their subpersonalities, and this is really what my work is about. Helping people to identify their shadow, their subpersonalities, basically their bad behaviours. This is why so many men struggle with women. It's not struggle with women, we think it is, because we use this certain language and it's been so drilled into us. Struggle with the shadow, low self-esteem, don't trust yourself. This is why so many men get into things like learning how to pick women up using lines and techniques. I've never believed in it. If you work on your shadow and you speak to women, you'll be congruent. You'll be a straight person like I am. You'll attract beautiful women. If you don't clean your shadows out and you go out and speak to women, you can still build confidence, you can still attract women. But from my experience, as a student, as someone who did it for over 10 years and slept with lots of women and went on hundreds of dates and got turned down by a lot of women, I attracted what I was back then. What I was a jealous, angry, manipulative, cheating, lying man. That's who I was. That's the person I was. I attracted women that were cheating, lying, dishonest, jealous, dysfunctional. We attract what we are. We attract what we are, be careful what we become. I'm not saying I regret it. I don't regret it, because I wouldn't be here if I didn't go through that. I wouldn't be here if I didn't have a strict upbringing from my father. I wouldn't be here if I didn't get bullied at school. So I've made all the mistakes. In no way form to judge anyone, to excite you, to beat this monster, help you get this monster out of you that destroyed my life for the best part of 20 years. I couldn't trust anyone, I didn't feel loved. Now the interesting thing was, I didn't feel loved despite having sex with lots of attractive women, having loads of validation from people, from men, but I couldn't feel this proper connection. And that's why all my work is about self-love. When you hear the work you have to do, you suddenly go, sorry my language, you say fuck. If that's what self-love is about, that's tough. It is tough. That's why most people avoid it. But for the people that face it, the guys that I work with in my 6 weeks program, life-changing. I can't tell you how good it feels, and I can see my whole self in this camera, to have to look at myself in the mirror and say, I respect myself. I like who I am. I don't need validation from anyone. I don't need likes on YouTube. I don't need to go out and to sleep with loads of women. I don't need anything. All I need is my life, my breath. Now, of course I still want those things, contradictory to what I just said, but I don't want those things as desperate as I used to, and I'm not willing to give my integrity up to get them. In the old days, my unconscious shadow was willing to break my integrity at any cost. I cheated in all my relationships. I was violent to people. I was a bully. I was also a people pleaser. I let people walk all over me, and I walked all over people. So I was completely unaware of who I was as a person. But if I didn't go through this journey, I wouldn't have learned. It's easy to say, I regret it, I did this. No, at that time, that was true for me. I believed in what I did, and I learned a lot from going out speaking to women, and it gave me a lot of benefits as well. Because I was going to say, I thought of this yesterday, I want to share with you. A bad teacher can be a great teacher. I've had loads of bad teachers. I had bad teachers in school say to me, Mr. O'Halloran, you're going to be a road sweeper. Mr. O'Halloran, you've got a low attention span, Mr. O'Halloran. You are unwilling to learn. So all these threats, all these judgments, even from some family members, I don't take it personal. Do you know why I don't take it personal? Because all these bad teachers made me be successful today. That's how grateful I am. And for the good teachers, even more growth. Then if we think about it, we go even deeper. Everything's teaching. Everything is teaching. So don't be afraid of your shadow. Watch your shadow and do the opposite. When it says don't tidy your room, make sure you tidy your room, as my mum would say, spick and span. Not a single bit of dust. You will feel love. How does that make sense? How does that make sense? If you tidy your room, you feel love. I can't work it out. Try it. It works. Wash out your clothes. If you can't tidy your room, if you can't go for a shower, if you can't groom yourself, if you can't cook for yourself, you are not going to attract a high quality woman. It is not going to happen. Not in my lifetime, not seen it. You're going to attract dysfunctional women. If you're a woman, same for women. Most women are really tidy, but there is exceptions to the rule. So you cannot expect to say, I'm congruent, I'm natural, I'm an alpha, I'm confident, if you can't do the simple things and control your shadow, control your false ego, because you'll always have conflict. You're never going to trust yourself. You'll never trust anyone. You won't trust life. You'll be paranoid. You'll be anxious. That's why all my anxiety went. Of course I get anxiety if I'm going to do a public talk, but I love it. I know how to control it. It goes away. But now I feel still. And the shadow doesn't like consciousness. It doesn't like present energy. If there is any old shadow in me now, it doesn't like this video, but I do this video because I like it. This is true. This is love. It doesn't like that. It doesn't like things that are honest. It doesn't like words like God. It doesn't like words like love, harmony, peace. It hates that because it's angry. It's demonic. It's bad. And this is what most people are being run by in our society. So, an inspiring message. I want to leave you with a few more things. So, when the shadow says you can't go and meet people because they're going to be horrible to you, you say, well, I don't believe what you're saying. I want to go and meet these people first, see what happens. Most times you meet people, they're very nice. All my paranoia over the years about what people are going to say, no one ever in a social situation said to me, you're a bad person, Jonathan, I don't like you, you're horrible. It never happened. The shadow told me this. Most times people were very friendly to me. Most times if there was anyone that was rude, it was me as a defensive mechanism. I freaked out and got angry in situations or got abrupt because I got nervous. That is the power of love. This is the love. When guys say, I see it in the development community, they say, people make criticism, say, oh, teachers talking about love. This is love. I know because I've experienced it and I've made it work in my life. It transformed my life. Self-love is integral living. Self-love is knowing who you are. Self-love is being able to control your false ego. When you can do this, then you can say you're a man. Then you can say you're an alpha male. Then you can say that you're in control. If you can't control yourself, how the hell are you going to attract a beautiful woman and take care of her? How the hell? It's not going to happen. It's a lottery chance. It's 1 in a million. How are you going to run a successful business if you can't even tidy your room? This is what I ask myself. You guys probably think, Johnny said, this is what I said to myself. And this conversation is always a strong part of me. There were some great things that my dad taught me when I was younger that I'm going to bring out now as thanks to my dad. He always taught me the basics. I don't even think he realised it. He was teaching me how to deal with shadow. When I'd wake up and say, tidy your room, because when your mum gets back, she's not going to be pleased. I was a young kid, I was 11, 12, and if I didn't do it, he'd get angry, he would slap me or tap me and say, come on, do it. Go downstairs, wash the plates, and I'll cook you the dinner. He would cook me dinner, I'd wash. He would make me do errands. And I felt like he was being horrible to me. It was good for me. And then he would reward me and say, oh, you can have some cake or whatever in the fridge, or you can go out now and play football with your friends. So that was love. That was love from my dad. But I misinterpreted it when I was younger. I thought he's bullying me. Because on some areas he did bully me and it was wrong, but a lot of the areas were good. So this is the practice of love. This destroys social anxiety. Everything I've said is how to build a business, how to build relationships, how to rebuild relationships, how to love who you are as a person, not fake it, not pretend, and not to go outside, go inside. Your bedroom's inside, your self-respect's inside. If you don't respect you, how can I respect you? If you don't respect yourself, how can I respect you? If you don't respect women, how are women going to respect you? If you don't respect your friends, how are your friends going to respect you? How is anyone going to respect you if you don't respect yourself? I rest my case. I love you guys. Enjoy the process. Like, subscribe. If you want to learn more, go to my website www.johnnyberba.com. Enjoy the process.